The Great Bell. The mighty Yanglo sat on the great throne surrounded by 100 attendants. He was sad, for he could think of no wonderful thing to do for his country. He flirted his silken fan nervously and snapped his long fingernails in the impatience of despair. "Woe is me," he cried at last, his sorrow getting the better of his usual calmness. "I have picked up the great capital and moved it from the south to Peking and have built here a mighty city. I have surrounded my city with a wall, even thicker and greater than the famous wall of China. I have constructed in this city scores of temples and palaces. I have had the wise men and scholars compile a great book of wisdom, made up of 23,000 volumes, the largest and most wonderful collection of learning ever gathered together by the hands of men. I have built watchtowers, bridges, and giant monuments, and now, alas! As I approach the end of my days as ruler of the Middle Kingdom, there is nothing more to be done for my people. Better far that I should even now close my tired eyes forever and mount up on high to be the guest of the dragon, than live on in idleness, giving to my children an example of uselessness and sloth." "But, Your Majesty," began one of Yanglo's most faithful courtiers, named Ming Lin, falling upon his knees and knocking his head 3 times on the ground, "if you would only deign to listen to your humble slave, I would dare to suggest a great gift for which the many people of Peking, your children, would rise up and bless you both now and in future generations. Only tell me of such a gift, and I will not only grant it to the imperial city, but as a sign of thanksgiving to you for your sage counsel, I will bestow upon you the royal peacock feather." "It is not for one of my small virtues," replied the delighted official, "to wear the feather when others so much wiser are denied it, but if it please your Majesty, remember that in the northern district of the city there has been erected a bell tower which as yet remains empty. The people of the city need a giant bell to sound out the fleeting hours of the day, that they may be urged on to perform their labors and not be idle. The water clock already marks the hours, but there is no bell to proclaim them to the populace." "A good suggestion in sooth," answered the emperor, smiling, "and yet who is there among us that has skill enough in bellcraft to do the task you propose? I am told that to cast a bell worthy of our imperial city requires the genius of a poet and the skill of an astronomer." "True, most mighty one, and yet permit me to say that Kuan Yu, who so skillfully molded the imperial cannon, can also cast a giant bell. He alone of all your subjects is worthy of the task, for he alone can do it justice." Now, the official who proposed the name of Kuan Yu to the emperor had 2 objects in so doing. He wished to quiet the grief of Yanglo, who was mourning because he had nothing left to do for his people, and, at the same time, to raise Kuan Yu to high rank, for Kuan Yu's only daughter had for several years been betrothed to Ming Lin's only son, and it would be a great stroke of luck for Ming Lin if his daughter-in-law's father should come under direct favor of the emperor. "Depend upon it, Kuan Yu can do the work better than any other man within the length and breadth of your empire," continued Ming Lin, again bowing low 3 times. "Then summon Kuan Yu at once to my presence, that I may confer with him about this important business." In great glee Ming Lin arose and backed himself away from the golden throne, for it would have been very improper for him to turn his coat tails on the Son of Heaven. But it was with no little fear that Kuan Yu undertook the casting of the great bell. "Can a carpenter make shoes?" he had protested, when Ming Lin had broken the emperor's message to him. "Yes," replied the other quickly, "if they be like those worn by the little island dwarfs, and, therefore, made of wood. Bells and cannon are cast from similar material. You ought easily to adapt yourself to this new work." Now when Kuan Yu's daughter found out what he was about to undertake, she was filled with a great fear.